Time is a funny thing. It's the most obvious thing in the world, right? You feel it passing. You feel yourself flowing through it. You remember yesterday. You plan for tomorrow. It's absolutely central to what it means to be human. But here's the wonderful, terrifying secret about time. If you ask a physicist what time is, and they look closely at the fundamental equations of the universe, that feeling of time passing, that sensation of flowing from the past into the future, it disappears completely. It's nowhere to be found in the mathematics. It's like a magic trick nature is playing on you. You are made of atoms, and those atoms follow the fundamental laws of physics. But the laws of physics don't care about the passage of time. So, what in the world is going on? How do you reconcile the cold, timeless equations of the universe with the very real, very human feeling that your life is slipping through your fingers? Today, I am going to explain exactly how that works. I am going to look at the illusion of time, the impossibility of traveling through it, and how the chaotic mess of the universe is exactly what gives your life meaning. Let me explain what I mean when I say the flow of time disappears. Look at the way a physicist solves a problem. Let's take something simple, like the planets moving around the sun. Isaac Newton figured this out a long time ago. If you tell me the position of all the planets right now, and you tell me how fast they are moving, their velocity, I don't need to know their history. I don't need to know how they got there. With just that information right now, and the laws of gravity, I can turn the crank on the math and predict exactly where Jupiter is going to be a million years in the future. I can make you an almanac. But here is the trick. The beautiful hidden trick. I can also run the math backward. If I have the information of the solar system right now, I can tell you exactly where the planets were a million years ago. Physicists call this the conservation of information. Everything you need to know about the past and the future is locked up in the present moment. And because of that, to a physicist, time isn't a flowing river. It's just a label. There is this moment, and another moment. Past, present, and future are all sitting there on an absolutely equal footing. But that's not how the real world works. Not the world of everyday life. Imagine you walk into a room and see a glass of lukewarm water sitting on a table. Now use your conservation of information. Tell me it's past. Can you? No. You can't tell me if it was a cool glass of water that just sat there, or if it was room temperature water that someone dropped a couple of ice cubes into an hour ago and they melted. The information is gone, it's lost to you. In the macroscopic world, the world of water glasses and human beings, there is a difference between the past and the future. You experience an arrow of time, so where does this arrow come from? If it's not in the fundamental laws of physics, who put it there? Let's look at the broken egg on the sidewalk. This is my favorite example. If you're walking down the street and you see a broken egg, and I ask you, what does the future of that egg look like? You'd say, I have no idea, Feynman. Maybe a dog eats it. Maybe it rains and washes it away. Maybe it just bakes in the sun. The future is open. It's unpredictable. But if I ask you, what does the past of that egg look like? You know instantly. With absolute confidence, you know that a few moments ago there was a whole, unbroken egg, and somebody dropped it. You have an asymmetry of knowledge. You know the past, but you can only guess the future. And you also have an asymmetry of influence. You can step on the egg and change its future, but you can't do a darn thing to change its past. The past is settled. Why? Because of a beautiful, wonderful concept called entropy. Back in the 1870s, a brilliant guy named Ludwig Boltzmann figured it out. He said, look at the jiggling atoms. Entropy is just a measure of disorder. It's a way of counting how many ways you can rearrange the microscopic atoms of a thing without changing how it looks to you on the outside. Think about cream and coffee. When the cream is completely separated from the coffee, it's highly ordered. There aren't many ways you can swap those atoms around and keep them perfectly separated. That is low entropy. But when you mix them all up together, oh, it's a mess. You can swap a coffee molecule here for a cream molecule there, a billion different ways, and it still just looks like a mug of light brown liquid to you. That is high entropy, and there is a law of nature, the second law of thermodynamics, that says entropy disorder always increases over time. Things go from unbroken to broken, from separated to mixed. Why? Simply because there are astronomically more ways to be messy than there are to be neat. It's just probability. The egg breaks because there are a trillion ways to be a broken egg, and only one way to be a perfect whole egg. If you saw a movie of a splattered egg spontaneously jumping off the sidewalk and reforming in a guy's hand, you wouldn't think you were watching a miracle. You'd know someone was playing the film backward. Alright, so the universe is always getting messier. Entropy is always increasing. That explains the arrow of time, right? Well, not quite. It explains why things get messy. But it leaves you with an even bigger, much more profound question. If the universe naturally wants to be high entropy, why was it ever low entropy to begin with? Why was there ever a whole egg to break? To answer that, you have to look all the way back. Way back. 14 billion years back. The reason you remember yesterday, the reason you can break an egg but not unbreak it, the reason time flows in one direction, is because 14 billion years ago, the universe started in an unimaginably orderly, specific, low entropy state, the Big Bang. I don't know why it started that way. It's one of the greatest mysteries in modern physics. But it did. And ever since that moment, for 14 billion years, the universe has just been unwinding. It's been getting messier and messier and messier. Every time you take a breath, every time you form a memory, every time you drop a glass, you are surfing on the shockwave of the Big Bang. You are experiencing the universe moving from that impossibly neat beginning toward a completely chaotic high-entropy future. The arrow of time isn't a fundamental property of the universe. It's just because you happen to live in the aftermath of a very influential event. Now, you might be getting a little depressed. You might be saying, Feynman, if the whole story of the universe is just things falling apart, just disorder increasing, how did I get here? I'm pretty organized. My heart pumps blood. My brain has neurons. I have eyes that can see the stars. I am complex. How does a universe that just wants to fall apart create something as exquisitely organized as a human being? This is the best part. This is where it gets truly beautiful. Let's go back to the cream and the coffee. When the cream is just sitting on top of the coffee, it's very low entropy. It's also very simple. Boring, even. When it is completely 100% mixed together into a lukewarm beige liquid, it's in a very high entropy state. But guess what? It's also very simple. Boring. Again. But what happens in the middle? Right there. Look at that. In the middle of the journey, as the cream mixes into the coffee, you get these unpredictable swirls, these little fractal patterns, these complex tendrils of geometry. It requires a massive amount of information to describe that intermediate state. Complexity happens on the journey from low entropy to high entropy. The Big Bang was very low entropy, but very simple. Just a hot, dense, smooth soup. And a trillion years from now, when all the stars have burned out and all the black holes have evaporated away into nothing, the universe will be very high entropy, but also very simple. Just an empty, cold, boring void. But right now, you are in the middle of the journey. You are the cream mixing into the coffee. Gravity is pulling gas together to make stars. Stars are exploding to make carbon and oxygen. And those atoms are finding each other on little wet planets to make biology. You are not fighting the growth of entropy. You are a byproduct of it. You see, they sometimes teach you in school that life is a struggle against entropy, that life is a fight to stay organized. I think that's completely backward. Life is fueled by entropy. Think about the sun. The sun doesn't just give you energy. If it was just about energy, the Earth would overheat. The Earth actually radiates just as much energy out into deep space as it gets from the sun. So what is the sun really giving you? It's giving you low entropy energy. You get one highly organized low entropy photon of visible light from the sun. A plant uses it to do photosynthesis. A cow eats the plant. You eat the cow. You use that energy to walk, to talk, to build a city, to fall in love. And then your body radiates heat, infrared light, out into space. For every one neat photon you get from the sun, you spit 20 messy, disorganized photons back out into the universe. You are an engine of entropy. You maintain your beautiful complex patterns by pulling in low entropy fuel, using it to keep your internal systems humming and dumping the mess out into the void. You are not a solid object. You think you are because you look in the mirror and you seem pretty stable. But you aren't like a chair. The atoms in a chair just sit there. That's called microstasis. You are a pattern. Think of the great red spot on Jupiter. It's a hurricane that has been blowing for hundreds of years. The gas inside it is completely different today than it was yesterday. The atoms are flying in and flying out constantly, but the pattern persists. You are a whirlpool in the river of time. The atoms making up your skin, your bones, your brain, they are constantly being swapped out. You are a temporary, beautifully maintained pattern feeding on the increasing disorder of the cosmos. And because you are this incredible dynamic pattern, you do something no other collection of atoms in the universe can do. I said earlier that traveling through time is impossible. The equations don't allow it, and the broken egg proves it. But nature gave you a cheat code. Think about what your brain is doing right now. In every millisecond, your brain takes in information about where your body is. It remembers where you were a fraction of a second ago. And here is the genius part. It calculates where you are going to be a fraction of a second in the future. Your brain is constantly comparing the past, the present, and the immediate future. That constant updating, that millisecond by millisecond prediction engine, that is what creates the sensation of time flowing. The flow of time is a psychological illusion, generated by the machinery of your mind trying to navigate a universe of increasing entropy. But human beings don't just do this for milliseconds. You took this evolutionary trick and you cranked the dial all the way up. You can do mental time travel. You can imagine a future that doesn't exist yet. Look at Antoni Gaudí. He designed the Sagrada Familia Cathedral in Barcelona, a magnificent, impossible structure. He started it in the 1880s. He knew, with absolute certainty, that he was going to die before it was finished. Why would a human being dedicate their life to something they will never see completed? Because Gaudí didn't need a physical time machine to visit the future. His brain was advanced enough to simulate that future reality. He could close his eyes, travel 50, 100 years forward in time, see the completed cathedral in his mind, and gain profound joy from it right then and there. Evolution took the same part of the brain that remembers the past and rewired it to hallucinate the future. That imagination, that is what makes you uniquely human. So, where does this leave you? You are living in a universe that started inexplicably neat and is tumbling blindly toward total chaos. The passage of time you feel is just your mind trying to keep its balance on that surfboard of increasing entropy. You are the swirls in the coffee. You are temporary little bits of complex structure. And yes, that means you are ephemeral. You aren't going to last forever. The sun will burn out. The human species will end. Eventually, all the black holes will evaporate, and the universe will go dark and quiet forever. You have an expiration date. Some people look at that and feel small. They feel like if it doesn't last forever, it doesn't have any meaning. I think that is entirely wrong. I think it's exactly the opposite. Because you are temporary. Because you are this bizarre, complex accident caught between the Big Bang and the heat death of the universe. You are the most interesting part of the whole damn show. The universe is mostly just empty space and dead rocks. But for this brief shining moment, the universe has organized itself into a configuration that can look back at itself. You are the cosmos's way of figuring itself out. You are the universe doing mental time travel. The meaning of life isn't out there in the cold equations of physics. It isn't hidden in the beginning of time or the end of time. The meaning of life is exactly what you are doing right now. It is the joy of figuring things out. It is the beauty of the swirl. It is building cathedrals. You will never see finished, simply because you have the incredible audacity to imagine them. So the next time you drop a glass and it shatters on the floor, don't be upset. Just smile, and remember that you are witnessing the engine of the universe at work, driving forward the magnificent temporary illusion you call life.